about the words of this song. What I love about this song is that it can be from all of us, to all of us, from the divine and to the divine. Come away, my beloved, and sit with me for a while. Consider this from the divine to you, from you to the divine. I'll teach you how to smile. I am always here, my presence is near. Consider you talking to your beloveds and them to you. There is nothing I require from you, nowhere to go and nothing you must do. And from us to the beloved source, I just want to be with you. Take another breath and think of those words going in all directions with the flow that makes us all one. And another breath.
Come away, my beloved, let go of your fear. Come away, my beloved, let my mind be clear. Come away, my beloved, listen to my voice. Come away, my beloved, let this be your choice. There's nothing I require from you, nowhere to go, and nothing you must do. I just want to be with you. There is nothing I require from you, nowhere to go, and nothing you must do. I just want to be with you. Oh, my beloved. Oh, my beloved. Oh, my beloved.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I was sitting at my computer one day a while ago, and I was in I wasn't depressed, I didn't feel horrible, and I didn't feel like motivated. I was kind of in a funk. And I had been for a little while, and I said to my dogs, because I talk out loud all day long, and I pretend it's to them, I said, what is wrong with me? And I distinctly heard in my head two different answers. And on the one side, I heard the litany of, all the things that are wrong, all these minor, stupid things that you would never get mad at friends for, but that wear on you, I don't do this right, I should do that, I don't do this, and the other thing I heard at the same time was, there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. because nothing can be wrong with you. And I knew that that was true too. And I forget sometimes that I have to allow myself that humanness, because we never say, well, I'm only human. We don't believe that here. But we are also human. That I believe, that I have to remember and allow. So after I decided to do this talk, I have fluctuated like this from those two sides. And I noticed that as I practice more feeling instead of thinking, it's harder to talk. And it's a little harder to write because when I'm thinking and everything comes through my brain, it comes through my pen, it comes through my mouth, it all works together. Feeling is a little harder to express in cohesive thoughts. So I'm not promising cohesion, and we'll see what we get. Most of you know that I lived in a spiritual community, which was a nice thing. That's what people who liked us called it. It was called the commune by everybody else. And we were a bunch of hippies who wanted to see God and save the world and have a good time in the meantime. And saving the world, well, it's kind of hard, And it doesn't necessarily want to be saved. And it doesn't necessarily want to be saved in the way that I want to save it. So we really had kind of a hard time, and then other things happened, and we were together for quite a lot of years, but it dissolved. And I talk about the commune a lot, but I don't talk about the lost years afterwards as much. And there were some lost years, and I was a big drinker during those years. I was disappointed and cynical and didn't know what to do with myself. And Ken and I realized later when the Doors movie came out, remember that sometime in the 80s maybe? We watched the movie and we realized that the problem was we had planned to live fast and die young, and we hadn't died young, and we didn't have a plan B. So we were really lost, and we drank a lot, and it became a problem. I know lots of people who drink a lot, and it's not a problem. They can do what they have to do, and I'm not to judge who does that, but I couldn't do what I had to do. It was interfering with my life a lot, and so I had to give it up, and I knew I had to give it up, but I couldn't, because you can't just, well, some people have, but to just go, well, it would be a good idea for me to not drink anymore, and then not drink anymore. Not the way it worked, So it was a couple of years of me saying, I really need to not drink anymore before I actually got to the point where I could not drink anymore. And then a really interesting thing happened, because after I went a day without drinking, because I wasn't a binge drinker, I was a daily drinker. I was like finished most of the day, and well, I would drink a little during the day. But then once the day was done, then you drink and then you go to sleep or pass out. But I drank every day, so it was easier in some ways than for people who just drink once in a while, because I don't know how they tell when they're done or if they're just on a break. But I was a daily drinker, so it was easy to tell. And so when I first went a day without a drink, that was a very exciting thing. And I did it one day, and the whole drinking programs, recovery programs say one day at a time. You're just doing this for one day, And they go, just one day. And I go, no, it's forever. I know it's forever. But just one, but today it's just, okay, let's see if we can do it for one day. So I remember one day of not drinking, and I was really excited. And the other part of it was that even though I knew I had to quit drinking, I thought I was really crazy. I mean, you all know I am crazy, but I thought I was really crazy. Like, that was my bigger problem. And that I was going to quit drinking and just fall apart, you know. So when I didn't drink, and I was successful at that, and I got really excited, and it felt good. And then I did it for some more days, and it felt good. And the point of all of this is that the first year that I went without drinking, I felt like such an incredible success. I mean, I was like a rock star. I was the award winner. I was the Nobel Peace Prize winner. I mean, you couldn't feel better. I was completely successful and felt wonderful just because I didn't do what most of you don't do every single day. You don't feel that wonderful. You know, it was a trick of the mind. I was thinking differently. I was looking at things differently. And just not drinking, just doing that, because that was my focus, made me feel more successful than I will ever feel. Well, not that I will ever, because I may. We never know what I might do next. But that first year of not drinking made me feel so successful that I haven't quite matched it since for no good reason. I mean, that was pretty much no good reason, you know? I hadn't accomplished anything. I was still poor. I still had kids I had to take care of. I still didn't have a good job. My circumstances were not a whole lot different that first year than when I had been drinking. But the way I felt about myself was wonderful. And I want to feel about myself that way. And I want you all to feel about yourselves that way. The book, The Placebo, You Are the Placebo, says, if you're thinking the same thoughts as yesterday, more than likely you're making the same choices today. Those same choices are leading to the same behaviors tomorrow. The same habitual behaviors tomorrow are producing the same experiences in your future. Okay? And we know that. It's conditioning and it's habit and it's how we work. And somehow I had broken that chain, and I was a whole different person. I also worked a spiritual program. It wasn't just, okay, I won't drink and I'll just go hang out at the bar and not drink. I was working a whole spiritual program. But the feeling was just fantastic. And then as life went on and not drinking became normal to me, it wore off and I didn't feel quite so successful for nothing, you know, for just doing what everybody else does all the time. So then I was ready to go back to saving the world. And, you know, there's got to be a way to live so that, I mean, we know the world needs help, but it's a big question like whose help it needs? Who's going to make the rules? Like, I'm not sure who I want to save the world, because it might be the guy I'm not picking, you know? So it's really hard to find a way to be peaceful and to allow for everything to be the way it is and know that it's okay. But I came to this view that the earth plane is school. You know, and like school, you have all the different grades. When I was in 3rd grade, we used to go down and help the kindergartners in Sister Gertrude's class. And I wonder now why they sent us. I don't know if Sister Gertrude was like taking a nap or, you know, why do you send the 3rd graders in to do stuff? Maybe I don't know. But anyway, we were with kindergartners and you know, 3rd graders are hugely grown up compared to kindergartners. And there were always some kids in the kindergarten who would like do disgusting things and eat paste. We always had paste eaters in the kindergarten, you know. And, but we knew that they were just kindergartners, you know. They were little kids. And they would outgrow eating paste. It wouldn't kill them, usually. They would survive. And they would outgrow eating paste. And they would move to the next grade, and, you know, pretty soon they'd be helping the paste eaters. So that's how I have to live in the world now, is that everything is really okay. Everybody's in the grade that they should be in. We're always going to have pace eaters. And we just have to wait for them to evolve. And it's really none of my business. There's room for them too, you know?
Amen.
And if I can educate, if I can help, that's what I'm going to try to do that. But I really have to allow people to be and know that they're where they need to be. And my hard job is to try to love them, because I know that love changes us easier than hate does. And when people do the kinds of things that they do, it makes it really very hard to stay loved, to even stay neutral. But I've also been working at this long enough, as have so many of you, and it's not like, I don't know how long it takes, because it's like one of those things you just spend 40 years and then you get it in the blink of an eye. You're like an overnight success after 40 years, you know? But my goal these days is I want to feel good. I want to feel that divine presence, because I know the ecstasy in that. I mean, there really is. I've been in points, I don't get them every day, but I've been at those points where that connection and that oneness I can feel, and it's an ecstatic feeling, and I want that. I'm an addict. That's what I want, you know? And I also know that the thing that stands between me and it is how I see myself. You know, if I can't be a clear channel, if I'm in the what is wrong with me heads, and I'm listening to the side of, well, you don't do this right, you don't do that right, that's all what dumps up the channel between the divine and me, and clogs it up, and then I can't feel that high that I want to feel, and I can't be of service in the way I want to be of service. Okay, I'm lost now. So here's the next thing I came to, is that the whole idea of letting people be where they are, and me be where I am, and I have to have an outlook that is sustainable. I was trying to find a different word, but that was the only one I could find. Really, I have to have a world view that keeps working no matter what anybody else does, you know, and that's tough.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to keep it together and have everything be level and godlike and one when there's no people around. I would say 80% of the time when I'm alone, I'm there. I'm peaceful, and I can feel God, I look at the dogs, I learn from them, and then sure enough, a human being enters the picture. And changes everything. And if they would be the way I want them to be, it would be fine, and, you know, and if I would be the way they want me to be, it would be fine, but those two ways are not the same, so it's not fine. And so I have to find a way, how does this work, so that I can sustain how I want to feel, no matter what the other person is doing. Not an easy one. Nikki Golden was here. Well, she's been here a bunch of times now, and I really love her, and I love what she has to say. But one of the most profound things I've heard from her was she talked about she and her partner Mindy fold towels differently.
Oh.
And they allow it of each other. Now, I've been with Ken for the better part of 42 years, and that never occurred to me. was okay for him to fold towels. And as a result, I spent 30 years trying to teach him how to fold towels. And 10 years just doing it myself. Because it's hard. And where I lost him was the day I told him he folded it inside out. How many men in here, how many people in here know that you can fold a towel inside out? Very good. Can you not understand that? And he has not folded my towels since that day. And I mean, you know, let's face it, if you can't, if that's going to be an issue, and all the other things you have to look at, we have kids besides. I mean, if you have to maintain cars, if you can't manage the towels, how are you going to do all this other stuff and have God in your life? And what Mindy and Nikki did was, she said if you open their closet, there's towels folded 2 different ways. And I was like, never entered my mind. So I realized like there's this whole sustainable mindset that has to allow me to be me and while allowing you to be you. And there's a lot of stuff in that's, you know, there's a lot of stuff in that. But again, the better I feel about myself, the more connected I feel, the less I care about towels. You know?
Amen.
I have never been in a God state and cared if a towel was folded or not. So I've never been triggered when I'm secure in feeling my divinity and allowing for my humanity or somebody else's. So I think that's the trick for me, is to allow for our humanity while we're trying to be divine. You know, because we have these parts in our brains that are still, you know, protecting us from lions coming after us. And I do that. You know, I think that I'm saying, hi Ken, how are you? But what I'm really doing is trying to, you know, protect myself from lions. It's a part of the brain I don't really need, but I've still got it. And we've all still got it. And I think we have to say, that's okay, you know? One of the things I love about being old is we don't seem to mind each other's faults so much. We can kind of make fun of them, you know? Like, my friends when I was younger, we would pick at each other. And of course, we were all trying to be very spiritual. And we had no qualms about telling you how you were not being spiritual. And now I think as we age, we know that we are spiritual beings, period. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You are a spiritual being, and sometimes it's more evident than others. And when my friends are doing something that's where their God self is not evident, they don't feel good. And when my friends don't feel good, I want to make them feel better. I don't want to make them be more spiritual. And that's so much better feeling. You know, so there's this whole list of things that I've seen that make me able to be, to have this more sustainable outlook. You know, one of the things that I watched for years after we came here, and it's very hard in any kind of relationship. I mean, I'm not talking about like a relationship with the clerk at the Walmart. That's a relationship, you know? You have to deal with another person. It's a relationship. In any kind of relationship, stuff comes up. You know, like, I used to be so haughty when I asked a clerk a question and they would say, I don't know. And I would be like, well, what do you mean you don't know? Why don't you go find out? And then I thought about it and I said, you know, if I worked at Walmart, you all would be lucky to leave the store alive. $7 or $8 an hour, and they got to put up with this? I don't think so. You know? So for a while, I decided that I was going to make every encounter better because I had been in it. And it changed my whole life. And all it took really was being friendly. And it took thinking a minute with my friends. And if somebody suggested something that I didn't want to do, I might be able to say, I don't really want to do that, instead of cringing and like, oh God, you know. Because these are the things I realize that we have to be able to do. If I can't say no, I can't have an honest relationship. And if I can't say no, then when I say yes, it's completely meaningless. Because you don't know if I mean yes or no if I can't say no. And it's true. This is the things I just off the top of my head noticed that I need to get rid of. One is blame. You know, I'm on a step stool. For those of you who don't realize, steps are very important in my life. I'm 4'8", and they have to be where I expect them to be. And so one day I couldn't find my step stool in the laundry room, and I'm thinking in my head, what did he do with my step stool? Now I know Ken can reach everything we have. I know he didn't take my step stool, even while I'm blaming him. But my mind is saying, he must have. It's gone, and I can't find it, and he must have taken it. You know? So blame is like really one of the big ones, because we can't blame. And even if people did stuff, even if it's their fault, the whole thing with blame that I realize is that if I'm in the mindset where I'm going to blame somebody else, then I'm in the mindset where I'm going to be defensive of blame. And that's where it's going to hurt me, even if I don't care about blaming somebody else. I'm going to be in that mindset. Same thing with conflict. If I'm in a fight, now the old me, the activist me, would have wrung my neck for saying this, but if I'm in a fight, if I'm triggered and I'm riled, it does not matter which side of the fight I'm on, because the vibration is exactly the same. It's the fight vibration. So if I want to be involved in an educational opportunity for you to learn what I think you might need to know, I have to do it without that emotional attachment to it. And if I can't, I have no business doing it, you know. That's a tough one, because like I said, you know, look at Facebook. Even people say, oh, Facebook that's so negative. Well, only if your friends are negative. You know, you get to pick who's on your list. But even among the church of Facebook where we hang out, there's a lot of diversity in there. And it's hard. You get triggered by these things, and it's hard to try to come to a solution and offer help with love instead of anger. You know, so that's a really big one. And giving and receiving, which are also the exact same vibration. You know, most of you, I know, are better at receiving. Better at giving than receiving. You know, it's like, oh, we give. It's like, oh no, I can't take that. What is that all about? You know, we have to be able to do both. And when we want something, I think all these prosperity things we've studied come down to a few simple things. And one of them is, if you give what you want to get, you got it. You know, the vibration is exactly the same. Being able to confront something without conflict. Like Ken. And Ken knows, he's always outed. It goes with the territory. Ken and my kids are good material for anything I'm doing, and they just, you know, once in a while they'll say, this is not for Facebook. This is not for everybody to know. But, you know, I I lost what I was going to say about him. So that got even with me. Conflict versus confrontation. You know, he was yelling at something that Ethan didn't do that he said he would do. You know, they have buildings and they need maintenance and stuff. And meanwhile, my house is falling apart because everybody promises to do it, but they're all out doing the other one. So Ken's really mad, and it's hard to picture if you know Ken, because he doesn't get mad very often. He's really mad, and he's going, he didn't do this thing. What am I supposed to do? He said he would do it, and it's not done. And I said, well, first you have to calm down. Don't talk to him while you're mad. He said, but he didn't do it. And it was like, he had that block. And I know what it is, because I get it. I've got it. That I can't make sense out of this because I'm mad. You know? Well, why shouldn't I be mad? You know? Say, well, you're correct that he didn't do the thing. But that's a separate issue from you being mad. And if you go to him when you're mad, you're going to make it worse. You know? Because then you're going to have to deal with this shower that's clogged, and you have to deal with your relationship. You know? Because it's always two things. It's always the thing that's going on and the way I react to the thing that's going on. You know? And as soon as he calmed down, he got it, of course. Because, you know, he knows what that means, but being able to have a confrontation about something, and you know, this in household relationships, when you live with another person, you know, all the housekeeping things, these are some of the hardest little things, and they're just little things, you know. But if you can confront what the issue is, without being mad and decide on a solution, you know, it works out. That's how you work it out. And you have to be able to do that, because if you don't, you kick the dog, or you yell at somebody else, or, you know, I mean, this is how I tell for myself anyway, although I would never kick a dog. A person possibly. Not a dog. But how I can tell for me if I have to express something is, if I can't just let go of it, if it doesn't go away, and I'm still thinking about it the next day, then I'm probably going to have to tell you how I feel about it, and we're going to have to work it out. And sometimes it'll just go away by itself, and I'll figure it out, you know? But we can't have those things that fester and make us take it out on other people or think about it for weeks or even days, because it's just such a waste of time. So those are a few of the things, and of course forgiveness. You know, forgiveness, great and small, and it's never small. If it needs to be forgiven, you know, it's not little. And all of these things fall under, I realize, now that I'm getting old and smart, there's really, am I being open-hearted or closed-hearted? You know, and that's one of the reasons that it's harder for me to do a talk in any kind of order now, is, like I said earlier, I go more on feeling, and that's harder to express in words. But if I watch myself some days and say, am I open or closed, it's real easy to tell, because if you ask me, where are you going? And I'm closed, my reaction would be, why do you want to know? Because I don't want to do whatever thing is on your list that you're going to send me to do. And if my heart is open, I'll tell you exactly where I'm going without thinking twice about it, because there's no reason not to, you know? And that's the thing I check on myself now, because I used to count on my smarts, and I think they're fading. But I used to think myself to death, you know, and when you have that what's wrong with me feeling, it's a lot easier to just feel, you know. Let me just be open-hearted and as best I can. I'm not going to be all the time. I'm going to see certain people come in and I'm going to be like, you know, and I'm going to work on that. But coming to a point where I understand that the place to go when I have an issue, the only place to go to start with is me and my heart. And what is it? What is it in me? Even if I'm justifiably angry, you know, that justifiably angry one that we used to get away with. It may be an issue that has to be dealt with, but what's really going on is that there's something in me that is triggered by this thing, and I have to deal with that first. And then dealing with the things is pretty easy to do. So, you're all off the hook. I have no more intention of saving you. I'm going to leave you exactly the way you are. I may attempt to teach you something now and then, if I think you haven't noticed it by yourself. But I am now free from myself too, because I think we're okay, and we're going to be okay, and I would rather remind all of you that you're okay than try to fix you, which is impossible anyway. So, that's it.